joining.
Here we go.
Letting everybody in now. Well, hello, Brandon. How are you? You're on mute. Oh,
There
there's
we go. Hey, Sheila, good morning. How are you?
good. How are you?
Oh, doing great. It's not 100 degrees today, so I'm really happy.
No, right. Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't like hundreds.
What's
No.
what's it doing up there with y'all?
We had 60s yesterday. I think we might hit 70s later. That'd be nice.
There you go. Finally a real
Yeah,
fall.
totally. Yes. It's dripping. It's getting down. Yep.
Love it.
Yes, definitely. Hi, Helena.
Hi there.
How are
How
you?
are everyone? I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Excellent. Thank you so much.
I just heard some of the conversation, but were you talking about the tropical storm that some of you are facing? No?
Well, no, I have no part of that.
Okay, well that's good then. I know
Brandon
some
might,
of my
yeah,
my friends that are based
I
in the
bet.
US are preparing for that. So I myself went to college in Florida back in the day, and we had 5 hurricanes my freshman year. So it was a wake up call from coming from Sweden.
Wow.
Oh, yes. I'm all about blizzards. I'll take those all day. Tornadoes, I learned about those when I moved to Texas. No, thank you. And
Yeah,
then I learned about earthquakes in Alaska. Again, no, thank you. And yeah, just awful. No,
yeah.
Mother Nature
It's
is in charge.
Mother
Hmm.
Nature is definitely the one in charge when. So sometimes good reminder, but sometimes scary reminder. So
Very scary. Yes, she's very powerful. Yes,
indeed.
for sure. Excellent. Well, I hope everyone is having a fabulous Tuesday so far. We have a great topic today. I'm just going to, I want to say that I'm sure our sponsor today is on the Go video. If I'm wrong, Desi will correct it in, the description, but I have a guess that that's, who the sponsor is this week. I want to say that Desi's in the Hamptons, but I honestly don't know where she is in the world right now. I know she hit LaGuardia Airport yesterday. That's about it. But I'm guessing she's in the Hamptons with Joanna, um, getting to shoot some whales and sharks and fun things like that. So yeah, that should be fun to find out about when she gets back. And
You might want to say video some whales and sharks, not shoot.
well, okay, fine. Yes, video. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes. No, we don't want to shoot them. No. Click, 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 click. That's what we want, definitely. Um, and that's totally Desi. Yeah, absolutely. So, goodness gracious, we have some amazing ding dings going on right now. All the doorbells are going off. Let me make sure that I make Helen a co-host here. So you're able to share your screen. There we go. Did it show up for you, Helen?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe
Okay,
I will
great.
be able to
I know you're
share my
very
screen
competent on
there.
Zoom, much more than I am. So,
Well, actually, yes and no. We are more of the Google Meets over here, but by now,
oh,
of course, there's yeah, you've had some familiarity with all of the different tools, but
right. We will muddle through today. All right. The Grand Dame is not here, so everyone, you're stuck with me. I'm sorry, but we'll get through it, I promise. All right, let me introduce our amazing spotlight speaker today. Helena is the CEO of Globhe, which is Globhe. And this is a global marketplace for climate data from Drone Collection. And she is the CEO and is collecting data from 147 countries and getting the insights to how the data from these drones is making a difference around the world. Okay, now this is as if that wasn't impressive enough. Helena has also been named Women's Top 50 Women in Tech by Forbes, received the award Swede of the Year in Innovation in 2020, ranked among the most powerful businesswomen in Sweden. I'm sure that is no small feat. Ranked among the top 100 young business leaders in Sweden and has been nicknamed the Drone Queen by BBC. Okay. On that note, I'm going to step aside and let the Drone Queen let us all know about her amazing journey and awesome business. And did you want questions as they came, Helena, or did you want to save those to the end?
No, I think question as we go is totally fine.
Okay.
I think that will be more of a conversation. So if that is a format that you also believe will work, then very happy to do that. And thank you so much, Desi, for that fantastic introduction, and really grateful for the important work Women in Drones have been doing for many years and continue to do. I been part of the network in different roles, but never really been speaking at one of the events, and would love to obviously learn more and be a part as we move forward as well. So many thanks for hosting today's session and for inviting me to speak. I will go ahead and I will share a presentation here and just make sure that my screen is shareable. It looks like we can all see the screen, right? Perfect.
Yes. We do see the tabs, but we've got the screen for sure.
Perfect. Excellent. Then I will gladly accept any questions as they come. Might be a little bit tricky to see them in the chat while I speak. So perhaps, Desi, you want to keep a bit of an eye on the chat and just, let me know if okay, there's a question in the chat. But of course, also feel free to just unmute yourselves if there are any questions, and I'll address them as we go. But let me go ahead and just start saying a little bit about Globhe, and then I'll walk you through how we are set up and how we operate at Globhe, and a little bit about, of course, also why we do it, and also how we can collaborate and so forth. So Globhe is a global drone data marketplace. So we collect organizations that need high resolution imagery from drones with local drone operators around the world who are equipped to collect the data and provide the data through Globhe. So we are doing this primarily because we want to be a part of making sure that critical information from drones are as accessible as satellite data in a way. So trying to make sure that we cannot just benefit from the insights that satellite give, but also give a global, more high resolution perspective to that. And also sometimes in more real time, adding different type of sensors and different type of data sets to the picture. So we want to help our clients go from what we call somewhat a blurred view of reality to the sharpest view of reality, so that they can make the most informed decisions, both for their own operations, but also for people on the planet residing on it. So we are primarily working with clients in the sustainable infrastructure and the climate sector, and we help them navigate and see their assets, digital twins of their assets through our platform. So ideally, they can identify and spot an issue, for example, at their wind turbine rotor blades, and identify that X percentage of their wind turbines are not optimized in performance, so they can reduce their downtime, and they can also, by doing so, of course, increase their own efficiency and profitability, but by also doing so help the world towards a transition towards renewable energy. So we are really looking for that win-win when we do collaborate with clients, that we both help our clients obviously reach a better scenario based on profit and efficiency, but at the same time that it has a direct impact also on the environment that we are all also very much part of Globhe, to make sure that we find a better solution too. So the way that it works is that we have decided that to be really able to make sure that the value that drones around the world can provide can become easily accessible, we have connected local drone operators in 147 countries to our marketplace platform. So today we have a little over 11,000 drone operators. All our drone operators are local professional drone businesses, sometimes a one-man or a one-woman show in that sense, and sometimes with several drone operators within the same company. But we have the requirement of all operators being a professional registered business, because we want to have a certain amount of professionalism behind our drone operators. We want to also make sure that they have the right registrations, the right insurances, and the right equipment to be able to cater to high quality deliverables through Globhe. So the way that it works through our marketplace is that a client requests where in the world they want data from, and in our case it's mostly image data. So what type of image data, where they want data, what type of image data, and when they want it. And by then following a bit of a Uber approach, the marketplace then pings all the local drone operators within that geographical area to be able to decline or accept the flight request. So let's say that a client, for example, requests a 3D map of area in, let's say, Berlin, Germany. Then all drone operators within that geographical zone will get pinged, and they will submit a bid through the Globhe marketplace platform and say, yes, I'm available. I will charge X amount of euros for the mission. And we will then select the best option for the client. So then when the client receives the match through our platform, we go ahead and we match the client request to the local drone operator, who then applies the mission, collect the image data, and upload it to the Globhe platform, where the client can then download the data and share it also internally or externally. We also do provide the opportunity for that data to go directly into the client database through our API, if that is a setup that the client prefers and have ability. And our clients can obviously also use our platform to make sure that they track and monitor the different orders in the platform. And sometimes they will order monitoring from one site, sometimes they order monitoring from several sites, so they can check and see the status of the projects through the platform, and then also share the data with the actors that need access to the data, basically.
Quick question. One came in the chat.
Yeah,
Carla
great.
asked, how do you assure the outcomes with so many different drone backgrounds and experience?
Yeah,
you know,
great question. So we do that in a few different ways. So we make sure that the client, the area that the client themselves, they draw using either a polygon or they upload a KML into the platform, which is then directly transferred into the software of the drone operator. So the client KML is the input that the drone operator will put into drone deploy, for example. So meaning that then we can quality check and make sure that the exact area that was uploaded from the client and requested from the client is also the area that's being captured. But then of course there are a lot of other parameters. So what we do is that we have a standard way of recommendation to the clients that we recommend based on your client request. We recommend these standard flight guidelines, and the client needs to accept or edit those before the mission gets sent to the and completed with the drone operator. So the client has signed off on that yes, we require X% overlap, for example, or X centimeter resolution. So all that is being specified in the delivery aspect from the client, and the drone operator is obliged to follow that. We then at Globhe do a quality check to ensure that certain parameters that are crucial for quality are being checked off before the client receives the data to be able to download it. We do a lot of these. Part of this is still very manual at Globhe, so we want to be able to automate more and more of these processes to be able to make sure that we quality check every single data piece. Now we do more sample checks to make sure that overall quality is correct. But that is the general way how that is streamlined. And also coming back to what I mentioned in the beginning, that setting the bar high for drone operators to be a part of the marketplace in the beginning also helps us to deliver quality results. So the fact that we only work with local businesses, that we require X years of experience, and that we also have, as part of the client or as part of the drone operator profile, they need to upload both their licenses, but also quality samples of their data sets. So to sign up and become an operator at Globhe is fairly easy, but to be able to have 100% complete profile, which is where you get chosen to fly missions, that requires quite some experience from the drone operators to do. So that is,
there was
there
one
are a
other
few,
question that
few
popped
ways of-
up, Helena.
Yeah, good.
Bill asked, how is client data confidentiality assured?
Yeah, so a lot of our clients, well, all our clients get to choose if they purchase the data as closed data or open data, meaning that some of our critical infrastructure clients, for example, obviously cannot share any data. And it's also in those cases where the data goes directly into the client database, because for those reasons. Then we have other use cases where the areas that we are capture are not sensitive in a way. So by choosing then for clients that it's okay that it's an open data set, then they can get a much better price. So for certain clients, then that makes more sense, because it's fine that data is being delivered to more actors, and they get to pay a fraction to the price. But obviously that depends on the nature of the data and the client and the clientele in that sense.
Thank you.
Yes, I'll go ahead a little bit, and then hopefully there are more questions popping in, but let me just walk you through, and I'm sure maybe we will also cover some of the questions here. But basically what the Globhe Marketplace does is that most of our missions are on-demand missions, meaning that we provide customized data to our clients that they need certain type of data from a certain location at a certain time. But we also have a data library, meaning that we do resell already capture data. So clients can search and filter on location and different type of data sets, and they can purchase that type of data as well. And since all our drone operators are flying through, they're using their own softwares. I did mention one software before, but of course there are many others. And since we are a reflection of the market through Globhe. So the softwares that are out there are the ones that we can deliver from. So meaning that any type of drone data that you can produce today can be ordered through Globhe. Of course, with us having a much higher capability of delivering on advanced data sets. LiDAR, for example, is not widely available in certain countries where those type of equipments are not acceptable, are not widely out there. So of course, in certain countries, we struggle to deliver certain type of data sets more than in others. But in general, this is a reflection of what's out there, and by being able to tap into both hardware and software that are already out there, we are able to provide the best outcome for the clients that are requesting it. And walking you through a few client examples and how clients are using our data. A lot of our clients are within the renewable energy sector, so both in solar and wind. And like I mentioned here at the beginning of the call, when it comes to wind turbines, it's primarily to monitor and ensure that wind turbine conditions are being upheld, and as early as possible identify any errors so that the downtime is being reduced. And when it comes to solar park monitoring, we help our clients both pre and post building process. So we are not just doing the inspections of the solar panels once installed. We're also producing digital elevation models to help clients identify where are the most optimal landscape to build the solar parks from the beginning. So a lot of different use cases that drones can be useful for, and what we can help our clients with. And the powerful thing with Globhe is that a lot of our clients are fairly large and global, so they have a need to not just collect data from one place one time. They might need to collect data from 80 plus countries, and they need to do it on a repeated manner. So the win for them to go through Globhe versus signing contracts with 80 plus local suppliers is obviously quite efficient in that sense. Another big use case for Globhe is climate event monitoring and especially flood monitoring, both flood prevention and response. So we'll take an example here that we have with UNICEF, where we help UNICEF both prevent and respond more efficient to floods. And what we have done here is that we have both pre-mapped high-risk area of floods. This is a use case from Malawi, where we have mapped out the high-risk areas of floods, and then in the rain season, when floods are approaching and the first sign of flooding are starting to be present, these digital elevation models are being used as flood forecasting tools to be able to predict how the water is going to flow within the next weeks ahead. So it's an efficient way to be able to predict when and where flooding is going to take place, and be able to put in certain measures to minimize the damage of the floods. We are also helping UNICEF produce post-flood maps to be able to identify where is the most urgent need for relief efforts, and also where is the most urgent need when it comes to rebuilding efforts. So being able to use our technology and our solution both in a prevention and a response capacities is super key. We are happy to see at Globhe that we get more and more prevention related questions. So if we rewind a few years, it was only response. So we got asked once a flood had already happened, or once a wildfire had already occurred. Now we are seeing more of a pattern of actually trying to reduce the risk from these climate-related disasters that happen in the first place, which is a very positive sign, and is where we feel like we also have the ability to use this technology to make the largest impact, which is really neat. I think none of us have missed that there's been quite a boom when it comes to AI lately, and of course that is something that it's hard to work in the drone industry and not be working with AI in one form or another. And at Globhe we do it in different ways, and one aspect is that we have a lot of clients that are using AI to produce insights for their clients. So a lot of AI and ML tools are using our solution to both train their own algorithms and for different type of object detection. So they might purchase X amount of data sets to train their algorithms to be able to detect different tree species or whatever it might be. And then we also are able to work with a certain type of AI and digital twin platforms to together give more information to the end client. So an example here is with a company in Sweden called Airboyer, where we are collecting the image data, and Airboyer's AI object detection tool identify what trees are being affected by the bark beetle. And I'm not sure if someone is from I think there are some northern states present here today, but the bark beetle is a really big problem in Northern Europe. I also believe it's a problem in the Northern Hemisphere altogether. And basically it destroys over 5 million cubic meter of forest in Sweden alone. So it's quite a huge financial battle, and just in Sweden alone, it destroys timber for more than $1 billion every year. So to be able to detect bark beetles at an early stage is quite crucial, so it doesn't affect the entire forestry. And before using drones, this was done either by foot or by helicopter, and foot was quite a slow and ineffective method, and helicopter was quite expensive. So this is a new way to be able to detect patterns in a more efficient way than previously possible. I see that there is a lot of notifications from the chat, but I'm not sure if there is a question. I haven't looked. What would you say, Desi? Is it time for a question, or?
There was a comment from Dave who said California has been riddled with bark beetles. So California, and I'm not sure what part, but and then he said, ask me how I know. There was a question above though, and I'm not sure because I'm not sure of the acronyms, but Charlotte had asked,
I'm
do
sorry.
you have
Sorry, you guys.
APIs?
Hi, it's Charlotte. I'm sorry. We're doing a last minute shoot in a little bit over at Front Wave Arena, which is under construction, and Simone Biles is going to be here on Monday and Tuesday. So I'm more than tasking as usual. So Esri is a big, I come from this world. So the data world, I've been in software technology, AI, machine learning, blah, 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 blah. So Helena, I'm like, oh, we got to talk, but after the 24th.
Yeah.
So Esri is an old, and that I was asking Helena if you guys have APIs into Esri, and I'm assuming you do.
Yes.
Okay.
So we do have, yeah, well, yes and no, because we don't have a full integration with Esri currently, but we have a partial integration with Esri, and basically a lot of our larger clients, we all deliver to them using API. So that is something that is quite standard in that aspect.
Right.
Yes.
Because I come from it from like 1999 working with Esri, 1995 working with those guys, and now there's as the technologies have evolved. When I was when AWS was my partner, we had all these relationships, and there's a whole global consortium, and so I have all these connections, and love to be able to figure out what you have, where you are, where you want to go, and make sure that and it gives me a chance to dig back in. So there's lots of foundations that I think it would be wonderful for them to hear what you guys are doing. I was so sad I was late, but
no, but absolutely, that would be fantastic, Charlotte. So whenever you feel like your schedule is more free after the 24th, just feel free to reconnect. I'm happy to share more with you and be able to explore that. But yes, awesome. API we do work with, and I mean the whole point is that we want to make it very easy for organizations to be able to get a hold of drone data. So we want to be able to take that pain away from them, and obviously by just integrating to their data systems and having data incoming there, and having them not to think about how many drones are out there flying, what are the really good regulations there, what are the weather conditions, just get the data from drones like they get any other type of data. That is really our ultimate
It's another data
goal.
source. It's another data source, period.
Yes.
Is it coming from a trash truck? Is it coming from a this or that? Yeah, so, okay, cool. I am listening.
All right, and another use case that has been growing also, I would say, over the past year here at Globhe, is to use our platform for investment transparency and verification. So for example, we do work with the World Bank to be able to follow up and make sure that X amount of infrastructure investments and biodiversity investments are actually being made. So I believe that we all know that there is sometimes a misconception of what's being shared and what's actually happening in real life. So for us to be able to go out there to sites and be able to monitor and see, this is a real-time photo, it has a geographical stamp and a time attached to it, and this is the current scenario. So also we work with a lot of reforestation efforts to make sure that they reforest at a certain rate and replant trees to follow a certain regrowth pattern, and to be able to monitor and see that that is actually being done, and to be able to provide the investors with a proof of certification that the investment are actually going into the right places at the right time, and to keep that investment transparency high is a super useful use case that we believe that we can do much more with, together with our clients, and ideally make sure that every dollar spent is really going to the end use case. So an interesting use case that we are super happy to be a part of, and excited to be working more with going forward. And just to summarize, before I'm super happy to answer and have full focus on questions, it's just to kind of summarize and saying that we really want to make sure that we are a part of the transition, so that both more organizations can be empowered with critical Earth observation data, so that they can make more informed decision based on that, but also that we are part of enabling the whole green transition as a result of that. And we believe what's super important behind that is to try to make what's complex easy, even though we know that there's a lot of complexity behind drone flights and behind data capture and behind data transfer. The end users shouldn't necessarily have to face that. So we try to remove a large part of that bottleneck, and to be able to make that as smooth as possible. And at the same time, working with local drone operators around the world to be able to make their also lives easier, make their processes easier, and make sure that they can get and tap into more business opportunities in their area. So really trying to work with a lot of different actors, but with the same goal, to really make crucial drone data accessible in an easy way, and make sure that as part of that, we can also together help make sure that we leave this planet in a better state than we found it. And it's a super ambitious and a super inspiring mission to be on, and every single drone operator that are part of capturing data, and every single client that makes sure that the use case of the data is becoming a change, is super helpful, and it's really part of Globhe, and our job is to make sure that those world connects, and that we can scale, and that we can grow this all together. So what I personally think is super important when you're on a mission like this, is that you also have a high rate of diversity and inclusion, because if you're going to build a global solution, you need to have the world represented there, and therefore I also think that the work that Women in Drones are doing is absolutely critical. There is so much that this technology can be used for, and by being able to bring everyone to the table and come with creative solutions, and to be able to work together to scale those and get them out there is absolutely key. So to not have anyone being held back and to miss that opportunity is absolutely fundamental on an individual level, but definitely also on a society level and on a company level. So for us to be able to work with diverse team members and diverse operators, diverse clients, super key, because we're all here and we're all responsible for the future, and to include everyone on that journey is absolutely key. So very much a key component of Globhe, that I am very thankful that Women in Drones are also working strongly towards. So again, thank you for your very important work, and for inviting me to speak today.
Thank you so much, Helena. Yeah, and just so you know, I apologize greatly that I mispronounced it right off the bat. Good God, I apologize.
No worries at all. It happens frequently. It's yeah, it said there on the slide, but I actually didn't emphasize on it. But Globhe is short for global health, so it's a really neat way of making sure that everything that we do really also keeps that clear impact pattern, and has a good use case attached to it, which is really neat.
That's great. Karina, did you wanted to ask anything, Karina? I saw your hand go. Oh, you were waving. Okay, gotcha. Just making sure. Okay, excellent. Brandon, this is great. Just registered to be a pilot. Would also love to
Fantastic.
connect about the education side. My students around the country would love to learn about what you do.
Amazing. Fantastic. Yes, do feel free to connect. will you circulate a way to connect with me, or should I maybe I'll just do like this. I'll go ahead and I'll make sure that I drop my email here in the chat, so everyone can make sure that they can drop me an email and follow up if there are any questions.
I just popped your website in there again, but now your email
Perfect.
will be right underneath there, unless a question zips in, we'll see, but no, it's great. Thank you so much. This is awesome. So now, and how to get on with your network would be my question. To be able to produce the data for you, get that uploaded, that kind of a thing. You mentioned, you needed seasoned pilots and business owners. That's who you generally deal with. So how would any of us, would we just go to the website and just do
Yeah,
it?
so absolutely. So going to the website, you can just follow the link to sign up as a drone operator or to sign up as a client. So feel free to go and create your profiles there, and of course reach out if there are any questions. We obviously love to onboard more operators. The more operators that we have, the more we can do. So that is fantastic. And also, as always, feedback is always appreciated. So that is also very helpful. And we do also offer the opportunity that in certain countries, and sometimes the accessibility to different softwares and different equipment is less. So we do also have a company plan at Globhe with Drone Deploy, where we do offer drone operators to fly certain missions through our enterprise plan, where we can assign operators if needed. But in most of our missions, the drone operators have their own software and they use their own software flying. So it's normally not an issue.
Great. Brandon, did you want to unmute and ask? Because
Sure. Hey there. I was just going through your website. I love how easy it is to use, by the way. Good job there.
Oh, good. I'll make sure that I will let my team members responsible for that know that they will be happy for that feedback.
Yes, it's wonderful. The only question I had is if we have to be EASA certified. I noticed when I went through and was registering, it says I'm not complete because I'm not being US based. Do you need us to get that EU certification as well?
So it depends a little bit on the project requirements. So certain project requirements have that as a requirement that we need to have the EASA certification, but not necessarily all. So I would still encourage you to have a profile and list the licensings that you got, and you will not be matched with a project that requires that certification, but hopefully there will be others that don't. So I think it's good to have a profile no matter what.
Sounds good. Well, I love what you're doing. Great work. Congratulations on everything.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for signing up.
Miss Karina, please feel free to unmute and ask, please.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so for flying in Europe, do we need a special cube or frequency that our drone communicates on, so we're not infringing on restricted frequencies?
Again, if that is a good question, I know that we've had that for certain in certain areas and flying for certain clients that is a requirement. But flying a normal mission in Sweden, that is not required, or in anywhere in Europe. But again, it could be certain type of clients that do have that requirement if the use case is sensitive, and then that is the case. I will add though that it's quite seldom that we fly super sensitive use cases for highly sensitive cases, because then normally those type of clients normally have their own in-house drone operator fleets and they don't necessarily outsource that. So normally for us, it's not the highest level of sensitivity that we need to undertake. So normally that the answer will be no, but there could be cases where that is an option. Yes.
Thank you. And you also anticipated my next question, which was renting UAVs or UASs in your area in case of those sensitive projects. But Yeah, so I think that works. Sounds good. Thanks.
And Bill, you had a new question. Feel free to unmute or if you want me to read it, that's fine too.
Oh, here, I see it as well.
You do.
Does
Okay.
Globhe provide companies a solution set for a particular challenge, either existing data appropriate and can provide companies a solution set for a particular challenge? I'm actually not quite sure that I understand the question.
Oh,
Solutions set.
let me unmute you, Bill. Here we go. Ask to unmute. Is that? No, I didn't want to click that. Why can't I unmute? Can I just hit the little button? Oh, bummer.
I think, no.
If I do too much, I'm going to hang up on him, and I don't want to do that. That's for sure.
Let me go ahead and I start answering it the way I understand the question, and maybe
Sure.
maybe Bill, you can nod if it's the right way to answer the question or not. But I understand the question as that if we recommend companies. Oh, there, perfect.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
sorry. So the idea is that you have all of this data, and a company may come to you with a problem, a challenge set to go, and they think that they could use LiDAR, but the actual best way would be to use multi-thermal or something like that. And could you have that conversation with them and suggest a proper solution to a problem?
Yes, that is a great question. So we usually do that when we see that clients request data and we believe that they are not asking for the most optimal solution. We usually say that, yes, we're happy to deliver this, but we would recommend this instead. However, we are not going to override the client. If they are persisting on that, we're going to make sure that that is what's being captured. But ideally, we can play that role. And currently at Globhe, we are doing that, but it's also a really powerful tool to have the power of the global community in that sense, because we also sometimes have drone operators that are super experienced in certain type of collections that will then also let us know and say that happy to provide this, but in my experience, this works better. So that is really great for the marketplace, that we are also able to really take with the expertise that every single drone operator has, and together Globhe becomes so much stronger because of that. So yes.
Well done.
Great question. Yeah.
Are you seeing more of your clients based in Europe or some in the States, Australia? Where's your main?
Yeah. So main client, or majority of our clients have their headquarters either in Europe or in the US. But the data collection that we do for them is very global. And the most of our clients, we actually start collecting data in non-European or non-North American countries, because that have been where they have had the hardest time to find qualified operators. So they come to us for data collection in certain countries where they do not have a current solution. And then they like our offering, and then they realize, oh, smooth, we can utilize them for additional countries, and then they will move over. So that is a very common approach. But it's quite common for us that the client is either based in Northern Europe or somewhere in the US, even though, of course, we have exceptions to the rule as well. But the common pattern will be, I would say, that most of them have quite global needs, that they need data from more than one country, and then our solution makes a lot of sense to them.
Great. And then what would the process be, for instance, if some of us were to log on and, sign up as a pilot? What time frame would you think that we should anticipate to maybe hear anything, or
so in the US, if you're located in the US, we have quite a lot of missions ongoing. So I would say that if you sign up as a drone operator today, you should usually get your first request within a month from signing up. The process of signing up, I just mentioned it quickly in the beginning, but it's very straightforward to just create an account. You just kind of put in your email address and answer a few simple questions. But then you will only have a very low percentage of your filled in profile. So in order to qualify and get invited to missions, you need to reach a certain amount of filled in profile. And that is where it comes in the aspect of uploading your licenses and filling in your previous experience, etc. So we like to obviously have as many signed up operators as possible, but we like for all operators to add as much information as possible, because that is also how we can match you to client requests as they come in. So for example, we also have each drone operator fills in the equipment that they have. So for example, if we get a request for a thermal map, we ideally would like to know that we can match it with operators who have the right equipment to produce the data requested. So the more information that we have beforehand, the better we can make them matching, and the higher also likelihood to actually get invited to missions as an operator.
Great. Now, as you build your profile, do you need to upload any like photos or videos that?
Yeah, so we have an option to upload that as well, and that is being linked currently also to our data library. So the operator can also choose if that is going to be if they want to resell that imagery in the data library or not, basically. So it's a way for us to be able to both quality check the data, but also to be able to work with operators and provide their data in the marketplace, in the data library. I would say though that 9 out of 10 clients do not purchase data from the data library, because they have, so far we're seeing much more of a need of, we need the data from this specific place at this specific time. But we do have, coming back to the use case of the AI object detection use cases, where they might come into the data library and they might buy 200,000 images of trees. So you could, and it doesn't matter if the trees are from the US or Canada or Germany, and it doesn't matter if they are 2 years old. They just need X amount of data of X amount or of the same object to be able to. So then the data library makes a lot of sense. But if there's for any of our more inspection clients that needs to make sure that we are inspecting their telecom towers or their wind turbines, and they need to be inspected at this exact date, well then that is going to be a on-demand customized order that they place.
So all the collection that you've already done is in this database that people can go in and almost like, it's not free, but if they wanted to purchase that for whatever. So
all the open data, but we can, yeah. So the data where that has been an opt-in to resell it is there, and you can then see in the data library. You can check it. You can see the size of the data set, and you can have a preview of the imagery, and you see the dollar amount of that imagery, and you can put it in your basket and you can check it out using Stripe. So fairly simple process in that sense, but yeah, it only becomes a fraction of the data we capture in that sense, that it's not the majority of the data we cannot share, but it's still a really good base to be able to. Yeah.
Okay, my last question before it's about time, and anyone else have any questions, feel free to either raise your hand, pop it in the chat. But I've got one last question for Helena, and then everyone else, and otherwise we can, finish up a little bit early. But how much of the globe have you mapped?
That is no. So we need to make sure that we put a percentage in terms of the total area size, which we have not. I believe it's going to be still small because it's so much out there to map. But with that being said, we have data from the majority of the countries in the world. But with that being said, there's still huge gaps within countries. So there is still a lot that we can do. And we see that a lot of countries, we have repeated data over same areas, but then we have certain countries where we have just a gray area with nothing in yet. So it's very client driven. So we can see a pattern of where the data is being asked for, but we do also believe that since we do work with quite global clients, and that certain countries are also harder to get data from, and also since some of our clients are using our solution as a complementary data set to satellite imagery, for example, we are seeing that satellite imagery is much better in certain countries in Europe than certain countries in Africa, for example. So then the need for them to get updated data in certain African countries is actually higher than in Europe. So it's an interesting shift there also in that sense. But sometimes satellite imagery is not an option. So wind turbine inspections and telecom tower inspections and most of the digital twin creation, it's not really an option to utilize satellite imagery. So, but in the cases where it is, we are actually seeing that Africa has a higher demand because of the low quality satellite imagery of the continent, with a few exceptions. So that is interesting.
And we have some amazing South African ladies who are
Yes.
linked right in. So Kim players, obviously. So yeah, it's just, oy, how fun. That's awesome. Any
Yeah.
other questions from anyone in the group? Thank you, Helena. This has been great. So much information and
Yeah, thank you. So many great questions. It's always
Good.
it's always great to be able to hopefully answer questions, but it's yeah, it's really great to be able to have these type of conversations, I think.
I cannot apologize enough for messing up the name of your business. But everyone, I appreciate everyone's time. We can finish up a little early so everyone get ready for their next, meeting. Helena, again, thank you so very much. That was fantastic. And your time was great. And thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for hosting and thank you for your important work. Looking forward to staying in touch with all of you. So just ping me or use the website and we'll stay in touch.
Excellent. Everyone save the chat. Don't forget to do that. There's some good links in there, and we've got Helena's email address direct, so please don't lose that. And I hope everyone has a great day and great week and safe flights. I crashed my DJI Mini 3 Pro into the water the other day, and I'm
Oh
still
no.
mourning. I'm just wrecked.
Yeah.
I almost cried in public.
I understand that. It happened to me. It was so close to happen to me as well. And I had given up hope. I thought it was no way. And then literally right before surface, it got back. I managed to get control, but it was purely just luck, sadly.
I was bringing it into land and it said high wind warning. I went, I know it's a little windy, but it wasn't. And then it went off
Yeah.
and did this circle thing. And I mean, I'm glad it didn't hit anyone or anything other than the water, but
Yeah, in the end, that's how we're going to have to look at it, but it's still frustrating.
I almost went in after it, but that would have caused a whole other scene. It would have been just horrendous because I wouldn't have been able to get out. There would have been a crane needed. It would have been just bad. So just
Yeah, I think it was better to just accept one loss there in that sense.
brutal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get a diver. But anyway, we'll just
It might, yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Well, maybe
Oh.
it's a calling for you to get one of the underwater UAVs and play around with.
I know, and don't think I didn't think about that, but then there's a bunch of foliage that it got caught up into, so I don't think an ROV would be able to get. But I'm with you. I so thought of that right away. Yep.
Well, best of luck. Hope
Thank
you
you.
find a solution.
I know.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you
Great-
so much.
great to
Have
see
a
you.
great one, everyone. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That kind of wraps it up.